to those who need a little push for them to succeed. Kind words can go a longer way. Your blessings you would receive one day. Life is so unpredictable. No one's immune from its pain and struggle. Go ahead, rejoice, say Alhamdulillah. When I give praise, I say Ibashe. Through all the changing scenes of life, in trouble, joy, and in strife, Ibashe, Ibashe. There's more to life than material wealth. True treasure is finding self. Ibashe, Ibashe, Ibashe. Affection, Ibashe. Compassion, Ibashe, Ibashe. Ibashe is a powerful phrase that is used to show respect, praise, and honor. Handed down through ages, a gift to the world by Yoruba ancestors. In good or bad times, ups and downs, say to keep your spirit strong. Don't fight over religion, God is diverse, yet still only one. East and west, north and south, let our voices be heard round about. So rejoice, give praise, say as you wish. We can all give praise and say Ibashe. As we wake each day a brand new dawn, in spite of the odds we're moving on. Ibashe, Ibashe. We can't give up, persistence is the key. One day we'll have the victory. Ibashe, Ibashe, Ibashe. Patience, Ibashe. Tolerance, Ibashe, Ibashe. Let's give praise, let's give praise. Ooh, let's give praise, Ibashe.
A happy life.
Good evening, blessed Friday evening, and welcome to the Feminine Drive. I am your host, Warrior Empress, and I am right here in the Gael, bringing you real women, real talk, real life issues. You can find me, don't forget you can find me on Instagram as the Shantwell Queen. You can even go to my YouTube page where you will find me as Warrior Empress, or on Facebook as Warrior Empress Performance Artist. So how are you this Friday evening? Yes, we are inside again. Another Friday, and the lockdown starting in an hour time. Yes, curfew is now 7 o'clock on a Fridays. But we will get through this, of course. We will make it through. So don't worry yourself. If you're going to be checking the curfew and stressing about everything else, you are going to affect your life, which is already affected. The quality of everyone's life is already affected. Do not add to it. So let's just give thanks and praise that we are in the land of the living. Yeah? As they say, that we can give praise and thanks. So this Friday evening, we have a very exciting topic to be discussed. Yes? We are talking about the essence of sex. Now, you know, sex is a kind of taboo subject. I don't know why, but you know, growing up as a young girl, I cannot recall the subject was really discussed in my home or even in my family. And when I speak to a lot of grown-ups around my age, they would say the same thing. It wasn't something that was discussed. You know, it's a kind of taboo subject. You had to find out things about sex as you grow up. Yeah? There are even people today, women, both male and female, who only find out certain things or experience certain things about sex on their own. They didn't know what to expect. You know, the first time, that kind of thing, they didn't know what to expect. They had to talk to a girlfriend or talk to a boyfriend. And a lot of people found out by trial and error. They didn't have, you know, the adults sitting down and talking to them. But we are living now in the year 2021, and it ain't like that no more. Of course, the younger ones, them are taking that. They're going up on the internet or what have you, and they are finding out about not just sex, but other subjects. Yeah? So it's a whole different, the thing revolutionized. We are living in an era of information, right? Information is at your fingertips. Just a click, and things are there. But we know, you know, we are bombarded also with so much information. Sometimes we don't know what to take as fact. We confuse. We still don't know how something is applicable to us. Because as the old saying goes, what might be good for Peter might not work for Paul. And also, on the feminine side, what is good for Jane might not be good for Mary. So we want to get the information as it relates to us specifically and how it would enhance our lives and how we can also teach others, because it's not just about getting the information and keeping it. It's about passing it on to the younger ones and enhancing society, enhancing the community. So we have with us this evening, we have Dr. Giriraj Ramnanan, and everybody know him as Dr. Raj. But before we bring on Dr. Raj to talk about the subject matter, of course, you know, we're going to go for the commercials, and we have to say thank you to those who are staying with the feminine drive and advertising and giving us that support. So don't go anywhere. Take this little time to call your friends, to send the WhatsApp, because when we come back, we're going to go straight into business, yeah? So let's take that commercial break.
Ijo Olorisha charitable organization, unification of people worldwide. We exist to serve humanity. We help those in need. We help with clothes, food, shelter, and so much more. Today, we urge you to help the helpers by contributing to JMMB bank account 007 7000 17168. Thank you for helping us to continue helping those in need of help. Call us at 464-4264. Aje.
Feminine Drive. Yes, we inside, and for some reason I'm really excited this evening. I guess your guess is good as mine, right? It's an exciting topic. So we have with us this evening on set Dr. Raj. Welcome, Dr. Raj. Welcome to the Feminine Drive. How are you?
Pleasant good evening. Pleasant good evening to everyone, especially Errol, my good friend Errol.
That's your good friend.
Very good friend from way back when.
Oh boy, we're going to have to get into that story next time. But that's a good friend to have. That's a real good friend to have.
A very good friend to have.
Nice.
So, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it very much. And the topic that you have decided to talk about tonight is a very important topic. Your preamble is exactly why I got into this. As a young man, I was curious about information when it comes to sex. And I got a lot of false information from even friends, relatives, because they will tell you things based on their conjecture, based on what they think it is, but not based on reality. So that's why I started to study sex at a very young age. I did my qualification. I started doing radio. I went on to do my doctorate. So I think I'm still learning about sex, but I am well versed in it. But I'm also learning when it comes to it. Because there's such dynamism when it comes to sex that you have to actually place yourself in different situations to understand why people are acting or reacting in a particular way. So it's a learning experience with all my clientele, with all the people I come into contact with through my radio program, television program. So I'm still learning, but I like to consider myself to be someone who has a lot of information on sex. That's why I like to give it out. Because one of the things I found out is education is one thing you must share.
Definitely.
You must share that information. It's the only thing that is divided. When divided, because you share it, it multiplies.
Definitely.
So when you share your education, you educate other people and they become empowered.
Definitely. So we're on the same page to start off with. We're starting off on a good foot. You know, you talk about getting wrong information even when you, at your younger age, you know, you're curious. Most of us, most young people, curious and getting false information, and that led you to go into the study of sex. Now, today, there is the slogan, sex sells. Whether you like it or not, sex sells. And that's the reality. By the way, either by the way some people dress, by the songs they sing, you know, we can go into a whole...
By advertising.
Exactly.
Even by advertising.
Exactly, sex sells. But if we was to, you know, let's roll back a bit, and you did your studies, and although I may not have gone into in-depth studies like you did, I did my little research. And in ancient times, if we was to just look at Kama Sutra, sex was and probably still is a sacred act. Sex is about not just two physical bodies coming together. It is about energies coming together, because we know out of sex, you have a new life, you have generations. And you always have that notion. Is it that we have removed the divine essence from sex? Is it that it has become so obscene and so vulgar that we remove that divine essence?
No. In the Western world, we may take sex in a particular parameters. In the Eastern world, it's still divine. It is still considered sacred. Although you have sex done as a recreational sport, as something that is recreational for persons, but you also have sex that is done through divinity also. Take, for example, you talk about the Kama Sutra, but way before the Kama Sutra, there was something called Tantra, tantric sex. And tantric sex came from Lord Shiva. Now, I'm a Hindu, so I know what I'm talking about. Some persons may not understand this. We are talking about ancient time, tens of thousands of years old, when Lord Shiva created the universe according to the Hindu text. And he created sex. So part of that creation of sex, there wasn't marriage before sex, you know. There was sex before marriage. So that's the first thing we have to get into our head. Sex was something, although it was divine and it's a process of creating, it's like this. I have a slogan that I use. The only two things that create is God and sex. So sex must be godly. So that's the spiritual part of it. We must understand that. Sex is very spiritual. But there's a recreational part of sex also. We are some of the very few species on this earth that enjoy sex. So it's something that is given to man and woman for the enjoyment of one's life. One would say, well, how far do I go in the enjoyment of my life? You go as far as you are comfortable, each person. But the divine part of it, the spiritual part of it, is something that we have to be cognizant of all the time. Especially if we have a partner, a steady partner, for example, a husband or a wife. Once you have that, there is a level of connectivity, a level of chemistry that goes into that sexual union. Sometimes we don't pay attention to it, and we don't realize what it does to us internally and externally. We reflect what happens in the bedroom. We reflect what happens with our partner, the strength of our connection. But we also reflect ourselves. We also portray that. So if you have that kind of doubt in mind, or if you have something of a confusion within you, and we all have that in our brain. We have different compartments in our brain that deals with things in a different way.
True.
Men and women. Women brains are considered to be all mangled. All the things that they think about, it's all in one ball, like a ball of string. Men tend to think in a compartmentalized way. But that does not mean to say something from one compartment don't go into the other compartment. We could switch it around very easy. So when you're studying the psychology of sex, you also have to take into account a number of factors. The sociology part of it, environmental, physical, mental, spiritual, financial. So you're looking at all these different things when it comes to sex and how you approach sex. So the person who is engaging in some sexual activity for fun, they're doing it for fun. They don't care about spiritual connection. They don't care about chemistry. Don't care about anything other than getting the relief that they want to get out of sex. Whereas the two persons who decide to get married, start a family, build a home, procreate, that's fine also. It's all what the individual wants to do and the level they want to take it at. Now, if you want to engage in, let's say, Tantra at the highest level, Tantra at the highest level is two persons spiritually connected, but sexually connected also. You don't even need to penetrate the person to have sex. But it's all part of the spiritual part of it. Now, how do we marry that with today's society? It's difficult, especially living in a Western world where we don't understand the spiritual side of the Eastern world. And when I talk about Eastern world, I talk about from Africa, go back to the Far East. In Africa, you have ancient texts. It's not written, but ancient works and whatnot on sex and the understanding of it. The Japanese have it. The Chinese have it. The Indians have it. It's all there. So they understand that spiritual part of it. The Western world, all we do is take, for example, if you ask a Westerner about the Kama Sutra, for example, he will tell you it's a book about position. The Kama Sutra only have 2 pages on positions. The rest of it is the connection and the chemistry and what you do with a person, how you treat a person. But people don't take that on. How you treat your spouse, what you do for him or her. Those are the essence of the Kama Sutra.
Dr. Raj,
the Kama Sutra, yes.
Before you go further, because I know you have plenty to give us, and I'm getting excited. But, you mentioned Lord Shiva, and the lingam is associated with Lord Shiva, correct?
Yes.
Right. And the lingam is said to represent the male reproductive organ. So I don't see where the dots connecting. And I like what you say about preparation.
Let me just show you something. Look at this.
Go ahead.
What does that look like? What does that look like?
It looks like a vagina.
Correct. And that's the base of the lingam. The lingam comes out of the yoni, the vagina. And that represents creation. And that is Lord Shiva. So when a Hindu worship that, they're worshiping creation.
Yes.
That's what it is. You're worshiping creation.
Listen,
It's the same thing. The Kama Sutra came from Lord Shiva also, A lot of people don't know that. His charioteer, which is Nandini, the bull, overheard him do that discourse to his wife on the art of lovemaking and all those things, the Kama Sutra. That is instructions in love. That's what Kama Sutra means. And he passed that on to man. So that's how we got that.
That's how, I like what you said, that the Kama Sutra book, and I myself thought the book was just about different sexual positions.
Nope.
But it is deep. It is much deeper than that. But I particularly like when you started going down the road and you said, before one engage in the sexual act, the way you treat your spouse, in other words, the foreplay, the mood, the atmosphere, it creates that electricity that, let me put it straight, sometimes as you enter, it's all over. Because the vibes were so heightened. The energies, you all connect on such a spiritual level. But that now is missing. The young people telling you plain, you see all that sort of foreplay, I ain't had time with all that.
Well, you see, if you're going to engage in sex for, I don't want to use the raw word, but you'll understand what I'm saying. Any 2 fools could have sex.
Of course.
Any 2 fools. But It takes a special person or persons, two persons connected in a special way to enjoy sex. Now, some person will tell you, I have an orgasm and I enjoy sex. But the person who may have been making love to you may have been a premature ejaculator. He didn't enjoy it. He knew he did it quickly. But let's forget the foreplay. Let me tell you where foreplay starts. Foreplay starts when you treat your spouse in a wonderful way. You can't quarrel with your spouse in the morning and expect to come to a loving spouse in the afternoon. Right? The same thing applies to the woman. You can't expect your husband leaving you. I'm not being sexist here, but you can't expect your husband leaving you in a duster coat and hair and curlers and expect when you come back home to find you in the same way and want to make love to you.
Talk the things.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. So you have to prepare yourself physically, mentally, emotionally for your partner. So honey, I love you. Darling, how was your day? A phone call during the day to ask, maybe to ask if you could pick up something, but at the end of the conversation, say, I love you. Oh, I'm waiting for you to come home. That's the foreplay I'm talking about. Not the foreplay where you both lying in bed and you engage in oral sex or those kind of things. The foreplay starts long before that. How you treat your spouse.
Correct.
And one of the things that we miss as persons is we think that our partner is simply there to have sex with. And I'm entitled to sex. You're not entitled to it. You're not entitled to it. You have to create the atmosphere. When that time comes, the vibes or the chemistry is so strong, it happens and it blossoms, as opposed to it just happened and the other person stoops and turn away and say, that's what it is, boy.
Well, Dr. Raj, listen. Also, and you talk about the foreplay, it's not the physical foreplay, the oral sex.
Not the physical foreplay.
Right. The foreplay is actually way before. It encompasses how you treat your spouse by the things you say. And I like that because, make up and break up. So I cuss you in the morning, but we go have sex this evening and patch it up.
Yeah, you're looking forward to make up sex, but you do nothing to make up.
Exactly.
Okay, it's like this, you're passing by the food stall, your wife like bananas, you didn't stop and buy a hand of bananas for her. You think that I have to buy roses for her, but she appreciated the banana more than roses because it's something that she could consume. You wouldn't stop to think that way. So we have to start thinking differently if we want to create that atmosphere where sex is divine. It becomes divine between two persons who are in love, where it is not just the physical act, and I'm not discounting those who have sex for the physical act. That's part of life also.
Exactly.
But the spiritual part is if you want to ensure that you have a successful marriage or a successful union with your spouse, your partner, your common law partner, whatever it may be, you have to look at all these little things and how it comes together.
Correct is right. And I am thinking also, we have a lot of persons who would complain when it comes to having an orgasm. There are women who would tell you they never have an orgasm or they had it late in their life. Would you say the lack of connection of what we just spoke about, the foreplay, which as we said is not just the physical, would you say that is a contributing factor that would affect whether or not people experience orgasm whilst having sex?
That's one of the factors. The other factor is that we don't know thyself. Man know thyself. We don't know ourselves. And we're not honest with ourselves. We're not honest enough to tell our spouse, hey, or our partner, hey, this is what I like. This is what you need to do for me. Because the ego comes and overtakes everything else. And if you tell your husband, I want you to do it in a particular way, he's like, so where you learn that? Who teach you that? Which man teach you that? Because if you start being honest about yourself, you will start teaching your partner. And we as men also, we don't listen to our partner. And when I talk about listening, I'm not talking about listening here. I'm talking about listening through here, listening through this, listening through that, listening through the five senses where you feel what the woman is going through. And she would make a sound in a particular way when you do something and you're like, oh, good. I just learned something. Maybe I should do this a little more. As opposed to, hey, I like doing it this way, not that way. So the problem is we don't know how to put across what we're feeling. So once we take that out of the way and we start being honest with our partners and telling them, these are the things that I like. This is what I would like to try. I've heard about it, I've read about it, I've seen it in a movie, and I think it's something I would like because you know the feelings you got from seeing it. Why not? But if the ego gets in the way, if the ego only gets in the way, and you're thinking, I'm a macho man, and I will do it my way, you've lost.
Another problem is, whilst going through the whole act of sex, you have to actually ask your partner to carry out an act that you like, something that is pleasurable to you. And it's an awkward thing. As I said, you're talking with people that say, but if you in bed with somebody that you care about and you love, and that chemistry is present, you're not supposed to ask for oral sex. You're not supposed to ask to do nothing. It's supposed to flow. But there are men who believe
you don't know what to do.
But there are men who also believe. There are men who tell me, but if you ask for it, how I gonna know is that you like? You have to tell me what you like.
Correct. Because you can't be doing the same thing all the time and expect that this is what it's going to be. Now, sex is the only thing you can do the same act all the time and get a different result. For example, if someone is making love to you and on the first day of the end of your period, your body is going to react differently as opposed to the 15th day, as opposed to the 25th day. So you could do the very same act on the first day, and the person may have a fantastic orgasm or maybe multiple orgasmic, but on the 15th day, she's not responding that way. And you're like, but just 2 weeks ago I did it this way and you wasn't enjoying it. How come you're not enjoying it now? What's wrong? What did I do wrong? You start questioning your ability. And on the 25th way, you come and do it that way, and she say, I don't want that at all. So it's one thing that if you do the same way, you get different results. So you got to understand your partner. You got to understand what makes them, what excites them. And also the timing of it. Yes. For example, some people feel that oral sex is only for foreplay. It's not. In the middle of making love, you can perform oral sex on your partner. He or she might enjoy it more than if you did it as foreplay. Sometimes we look at movies and whatnot, and some people use porn as a teaching aid. It's the worst thing to use as a teaching aid.
I heard so.
Porn is simply for entertainment. If you want to do a movie where a guy is jumping from one building to the other building with a woman in his arm, you'll use a strong man. When you're making porn, you look for people who will appeal to that size, that look and whatnot. So porn is a makeup thing. If you understand your partner and understand what makes you tick and what makes her tick or him tick, you'll realize that, hey, I need to have a repertoire of things to do, but I don't do everything in one lovemaking session. I don't go into 15 different positions because there may be one position that is very enjoyable, very pleasurable, and she may be at the point of an orgasm and you change. And when you change, she loses it. So you have to start all over again. Now, remember at the beginning I told you about men who are premature ejaculators?
Yeah.
It normally takes a woman 20 to 25 minutes to achieve an orgasm. If you are the person who ejaculates in a minute or two, how are you going to get to that 20 to 25
Dr. Raj, I have to jump in there. 20 to 25 minutes, you said it usually takes a woman to have an orgasm. That is penetration, not if it's clitoral stimulation. Talk to me.
No, well, we have different type of stimulation, and you're right. But I'm talking about from the start of lovemaking, which is your foreplay and whatnot. It normally takes the average woman. This doesn't apply to every woman because some women can have an orgasm in 5 minutes. Some women can have orgasm because they know tantra to a point without having sex, without even touching themselves. Some women can have sex only with penetration and not by clitoral stimulation. So there are different varieties to it. But that's the average we're talking about. But let's even if we bring the average down by half and say it's 10 minutes. If a man ejaculates in 1 minute, how can he satisfy a woman in 10 minutes? It's impossible. So the woman might fake an orgasm, and women are very good at faking things.
Hello.
Especially an orgasm. It's a fact. It's a fact. Everything I say, I have the empirical evidence to back it up. I've done research since 1992 on these things. So women can fake an orgasm and say it was the best sex ever, But they, at the end of it, they're waiting for you to fall asleep, to go to the bathroom to play with themselves, or even play with themselves in the bed when you're snoring, to get that satisfaction. So why have a partner who is going to lie to you or who is going to tell you something to boost your ego, as opposed to, like, I'll use a very good example here. Most of the men who comes to me for premature ejaculation at my clinic, it's because the wife or the girlfriend say, hey, go and see Dr. Raj. You're not coming up to standard. And they are forced to come. They're not going to do it on their own because of their ego.
Correct.
Men ego are always in front of them. So it's like, why would I go and talk to Dr. Rad when I could do my own thing and I satisfying you and I'm satisfying Paulette down the road? But both partners may not be satisfied. They may be there for other reasons. True.
Very good point. That is true. And I like how you said that. Generally, they won't go to Dr. Raj or a neurologist or what have you to see about pre-ejaculation or even the ability or the inability rather to have a proper erection. You know?
Correct.
It's always a reason why. Maybe it's the woman, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Or how come you having problem, Jane didn't have problem, that kind of foolishness. And I really like how you say that. Sometimes or most times they are being lied to. They are being lied to. And we need to be honest with ourselves. Not just the men, women. We have to start being honest. Now, for some people, sex is neither here nor there in a relationship.
Correct.
Some people will tell you, listen, I don't care how much money she's working for, I don't care how pretty she is. If sex not happening in my relationship, we go have problems. Right? And then, as I say, you have people who it's neither here nor there. And I don't have empirical data, but it is said you more find women like that. Women don't really bother, they are the children, or gosh, are tired, and they don't make sex an important part of the relationship. And
especially if the sex was bad. Especially if the sex was bad with the partner. Then they switch off from sex.
You think that is the main contributing factor because the sex was bad at the beginning?
No, it's not the main contributing factor. But if you have a lover who is not satisfying you, women will tend to, because women are so emotional when it comes to these things, everything, but sex especially. There will come a point where the person is dissatisfied with what's happening, and that person is going to say, here what? He doesn't do it for me. I don't want to horn him. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So I'm switched off from sex. So I use the children. I use my job. I use gardening. I use something else to burn that energy so I don't need to have sex. That's one of the reasons that it happens. In marriages that breaks up also, you'll find that the disconnect when it comes to the sexual activity is one of the underlying reasons for persons to break up.
Yeah, it is a very serious thing. And I always say that in some relationships you have sex happening more than others, but my personal thing is I think some level of sex must happen. I don't understand totally cutting off. Then one of the partners is going to find an outlet.
Correct.
They're going to find an outlet.
Another thing that I say, sex is the cement that binds a relationship together. It's not the most important thing, but it is the cement that keeps the relationship going. And if you take away the cement from any connection, it's going to fall apart.
It's going to fall apart. It's going to fall apart. Are you correct? People just stay there because for so many different reasons, they stay in the relationship.
Financial is one of the main reasons they stay together.
Exactly.
The children, and sometimes you find when the children get old enough and they're married and they go their way, you hear the parents getting divorced and you wonder why.
That's right. Sometimes you hear people married after 20-something years, almost 30 years, you hear people get divorced. They say like, what? After so long? And that could be one of the reasons because as you rightfully say, they stay together because of financial reasons and because for the children. So when the children get big and they go their way, then there is nothing to keep them together. I just want to switch a bit to, this is a subject that I really want to get out of you because I've been asked to please get Dr. Raj to talk about this. And it's about female ejaculation or what we will call squirting. But before we go into that, Let's go for another commercial break and we're going to come right back to you, Dr. Raj.
Ijo Olorisha charitable organization, unification of people worldwide. We exist to serve humanity. We help those in need. We help with clothes, food, shelter, and so much more. Today, we urge you to help the helpers by contributing to JMMB bank account 007 7000 17168. Thank you for helping us to continue helping those in need of help. Call us at 464-4264. Aje.
Welcome back to the Feminine Drive. I am your host, Warrior Empress, and we in the Gael talking with Dr. Raj, the divine essence of sex. If you now join us, you're miss real plenty. But don't worry, better late than never. Maybe now is the time for you to join. So Dr. Raj, before we went for the commercial break, I asked about the subject of female ejaculation and squirting. Tell me, squirting, is it possible or is it urine that comes out that people describe as squirting? There is this continuous argument that that is urine, that is not female ejaculation. Let me hear it from you.
All right. There are a number of ways a woman can enjoy sex. There are women who can have sex without having an orgasm, but yet still enjoy it mentally. There are women who have sex and have an orgasm, just one tiny orgasm, and they're happy. There are women who have sex and have a mind-blowing orgasm. It's called a petite mort, the small death. It's French. That's what an orgasm is. There are women who are gushers, meaning they'll have a buildup of liquid in the vagina, and when they have that orgasm, it gushes out. It flows like a river. Sometimes it's very, very white. Sometimes it's frothy. Sometimes it just comes out as a liquid, heavy. This is not squirting. That is a gusher. A squirter is one who can actually squirt out of the urethra a combination of all these liquids, including urine, that squirts out with a pressure. It can go from the woman's vagina to about 8 feet in distance. That's squirting. Not all women can squirt. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my studies, it was 1 in 10,000. When I came back to Trinidad and I found the number of squirters we have in Trinidad, we had to cut that figure down to by 9,000. It's 1 in 1,000 women in Trinidad are squirters, and they're heavy squirters. I know of 3 persons right now who can squirt like a fountain continuously. They have to drink water, of course, because they get dehydrated. But that's what they can do. So squirting is not a myth. It's not a myth. It's very real, but not all women can do it. As a matter of fact, if you know how to use your finger in a vagina, this is the vagina, this is the opening of the vagina, this is the finger going into the vagina. 1 inch into the vagina is what you call the G-spot, right here, not down here, right here. As you play with the G-spot, there's a sac that fills up with liquid here. When that sac fills up and it's the pressure is building up, and it's about to explode, it comes out of the urethra with a pitch. That's how you know.
Thanks for that clarification. So, would it be correct to say that we can train our vagina to squirt?
No, you can't. If that sac does not build up, if the woman has the inability to build up that pressure in just behind the G-spot, she can never squirt.
So it is.
So you can't train someone to squirt. They must be a natural squirter. They may not know they're squirter. But when you put that finger in there and you examine them and you realize that sac starts to swell up, you say, you are a potential squirter. But what happens to women is that when they get the sensation to squirt, they think that they're about to pee. So they think that it's urine going to come out, but it's not. So I tell most women who come to me for counseling on that, here, when you feel to pee, let it out. You'll be surprised that you're squirting.
Oh.
The liquid that comes out is a thicker liquid. It has viscosity. It's kind of, there's a lot of viscosity to it. And sometimes it's clear in color. Sometimes it has a tinge of creamish color. But that's what it is. It's not urine.
1 in every 1,000. What? So when a brother find a scooter, he find a prized possession, boy.
Correct. Now, you can be a squirter for, let's say, 20 years of your sexual life. You have had children. But you know, women, when they reach in their late 30s, they have a blossoming of their sexual feelings. Whereas men, it starts to go down. So you see the disparity there.
Yes.
They may have had children. They may have gone through their 5-year cycles in a different way. And that's something I could explain some other time to you, not now. That person could lose the ability to squirt if they were a squirter before. Or they may now find the ability to squirt because of the freeness that they feel now, because of the comfort that they feel with their partner.
I really like this information. So it tells, while you are saying squirting is a natural ability and one cannot train the vagina, even though within the walls of the cervix we know it's muscular. You describe that sac being able to get filled with the liquid and the ability of the person to squirt. But I like that piece of information you give me, that a squirter in their early years may not be able to continue and vice versa. Because
Correct.
we have women and we have women who feel, well, you can't squirt, so you're deficient sexually. And there are men who feel, my wife is a squirter, so she top of the line. But I like what you said there, so that the roles are interchangeable. You could do it now and you may not be able to do it later down. And what you
Correct.
said there about women blossoming sexually after 30 is real. And men need to know this. It's real.
Of course.
So you find a
But
woman... Go ahead.
remember the shape of the vagina and the walls of the vagina changes as the woman ages. If she's going through menopause, it changes drastically. So because of those changes, the person who was a squirter before and a heavy squirter may not have the ability to squirt later on, depending on the stretching of the wall and the thinning of the muscles inside. So all these things you have to take into consideration. But for the ordinary layman, he may think that, hey, that's the best. But that person may lose the ability and you may get angry with the person and say, well, you have somebody else, or you can't squirt for me again, or that's the kind of way we react to things.
Dr. Raj, you killing me. You're so straight. You're so real. I like it too bad. Now, we started off the interview, or like to say the conversation, talking about the divine essence of sex and how you put it so, you put it so well, even going back to Lord Shiva. And even in African culture, what is twerking, what is being done as twerking today has its roots in Africa, where women, this was something taught by the elders that they had to do that to attract their future husband.
Correct.
It was nothing like what is being done today. It was very divine and taught by the elders that you had to twerk in a sacred way to attract your husband, right? So
Correct.
These things more or less being lost, or the information not adequately passed on, how then is sexual toys welcome into a sacred union? Because this is plastic. This is taking the place of whether somebody has pre-ejaculation problems or whatever. Sexual toys seems to be solving a lot of problems. But this is an artificial apparatus, right? And the true essence of sex, as we know, is two divine bodies coming together. See, marry that for me and convince me how sex toys could still keep that essence.
Sex has many facets to it. sex, if you masturbate, you play with your vagina, you play with your penis. That's a selfish act, but it's also very pleasurable, and it is a sexual act. So sometimes you may have someone say that masturbation is a sin. But if it is a sin, and a child is born without sin, how come the fetus in the womb does masturbate?
Is that correct?
Of course. That has been proven through ultrasound now.
Okay.
Because it's pleasurable. The very same thing. You may say that a dildo or a vibrator now is plastic. But what about the dildos and vibrators that were made before? Well, not the vibrators, the dildos that were made before from earth or from wood or from the tusk of an elephant. It's the same thing, very same thing. Or the vegetables that women used to use in a sexual way. It was used since ancient times. The very same thing with masturbation with men. You think men only use their hands to masturbate? Ask the average man, and if he is honest like I am, and he'll tell you it as it is, we use any kind of thing to masturbate. Some guys will drill a hole in their mattress. Some guys will drill a hole in a tree and masturbate that way. Have sex with the tree, have sex with a breadfruit. You know, they'll tell you that. But it's the same act, but it's not the same act as sex. Don't get tied up. It's a selfish act. So the very same way you can have sex with an object, you can have sex with a dog, you can have sex with a vagina. Now the vagina thing, they feel very real now. It's no longer plastic. It feels very real. You can have sex with a phallic object. Anything that's shaped like a phallic object, you can have sex with that. Women can use it on themselves. What has happened? There's nothing new in sex. Absolutely nothing new in sex. The only thing that is new is the dissemination of information now. Now we have the internet, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have all these things to use. But it's the same thing that we've been doing for thousands and thousands of years. It's the very same thing. People now can take a picture of their vagina and penis and send it to someone else. Long ago, you couldn't do that, so people weren't doing that. But if they could have done it, they would have done it. Very same thing. So there's nothing new in sex. So when you hear somebody buys a dildo and she's using that for her satisfaction, she's just looking for that physical satisfaction and not the connectivity with another male or another female. That is what she's looking for. She just wants that relief of the tension. You know, not long ago, but we say it now, you will go to an institution and you will see the person behind the counter, she's very huggish. And the first thing you say, like, she get it last night, right? Meaning she didn't have sex, which is real. She may not have had sex, so she doesn't feel that sense of relief and she don't feel good about herself. So you need that also. You need that sense of relief. However you get it, whether it be by you using your own finger, imagination, reading a book, frotting, which is rubbing your vagina or penis against something. That is an ancient practice in Japan. However you decide to do it, even if you go to a prostitute to have sex, as they say, prostitution is the oldest vocation there is. Correct? Because that's what people used to do. Any way to get that sexual relief. So if you choose to use a toy, if you choose to use someone else, if you choose to use a balloon or a mattress or a pillow to rub on, or one of your stuffed teddy bears, why not?
One stimulation is once you can achieve stimulation. Right. And
once you get the stimulation to achieve the orgasm, to achieve the ejaculation. So whatever it takes to achieve the ejaculation, that's what you're looking for. Whatever it takes to get the orgasm, that's what you want. So if it takes someone playing with your vagina as opposed to you, or you doing it yourself, someone playing with your penis as opposed to you, and you get the ejaculation, you feel that sense of relief, that's what you want to do. It's like, sex is very addictive. It's very addictive. Yes, springs in the brain that control sex that starts to grow when you start engaging in sex.
And you're correct, because pornography, there are people who get addicted to pornography.
Very easy.
There are people who so addicted to pornography, it affects their relationship where they don't want to engage in the physical activity with their partners. Because for some reason, the pornography
Correct.
their relationship, the physical relationship with their partner start to suffer. So you are correct.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. Everyone has a secret side of them when it comes to sex. They may not be comfortable discussing it with their spouse. They may not be even comfortable looking in the mirror and saying, I like bestiality. Because when they look at themselves, they feel ashamed. But their outlet for enjoying bestiality is by seeing it on porn. And the more they see, the more they want. The brain craves it.
You know, and it's that's why I say it's a taboo subject. Because you will have persons who will label people, categorize people, ostracize them
Yes.
because of their sexual preference. Who are we to determine such? These activities, as you very well said, been happening from since ancient times.
From time immemorial.
And because we didn't have social media, we couldn't spread it around. That is the only... I tell people that. You see a lot of things now because of social media.
But it's not new. There is nothing new in sex. Absolutely nothing. And I challenge anyone to tell me that of something that is new in sex today, and I will show them a text from ancient text where it was there.
I like to say there is nothing new, Dr. Raj, under the sun. Nothing new. It might just be...
Correct. Life is a cycle.
It might just be...
a cycle. You're right.
Yeah, it might just be packaged differently, right? So, we know that sex has its divine essence in it. Whether or not persons do it for recreation, we are going there, everybody have a choice. Do you believe that sex education then, to remove a lot of myth and falsehood, should be taught in the school system?
I believe sex education is very important. That's why I've been doing that since 2000 on Power 102. I started my career in sex education. I used to do a program in the evening time called Sex Drive. I used to go to schools to do lectures on sex until the ministry made it difficult for persons to do that. I don't think that we should force anything down anyone's throat, but I think you should give them the basic information so that they don't go. One of the things we start when you started off, you talk about people go and they do their research and they find things, but there are a lot of false information out there also. And how do you decipher the real from the false? Unless you have a professional like myself telling you, this is what reality is, these are the empirical evidence to back it up, and this is what fantasy and falsehood is all about. And a lot of young girls, let me give you one example. A lot of young girls today think that sex is a guy with a big penis, because they've seen that in porn. And a lot of problems that we have in society now is men who have an average sized penis, and they don't think that we can match up to what they see in porn. So psychologically, they're damaged.
Yes.
They're unable to perform the way they're supposed to perform because of porn.
And as you said, they've been fed the wrong information, thinking it has to be a big organ in order to satisfy a woman.
Someone. But if you can satisfy a woman with your tongue or your finger, why can't you satisfy her with what you have?
And I think it's all about lack of information. People not knowing the truth. It's lack of information. And also, both male and female not knowing their bodies and not being ashamed of who they are. And to avoid the younger ones going out there and getting wrong information, parents, mothers, fathers, should really take the opportunity to pass the information on to their children.
But how do you pass the information on to your children when you were not educated on it in your formative years? A lot of things were held back from. That's why I became a sexologist. When everyone wanted to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, I wanted to teach sex because I realized there was a lot of false information out there. So I took the path of learning about sex and disseminating the information to people, the correct information. And this is the problem we have in society. There are grandmothers out there, if their granddaughter asks them about a period, they will give them some false information. If they ask them about pregnancy, they'll tell them something false because they were taught false things. They don't know the truth.
That is so true. That is so true. They cannot tell you what they don't know. They can't
Correct.
tell you
How
what they
could you
don't
teach
know.
someone something that you don't know? It's impossible. I have had parents bring their young daughters and sons to me to have a little lecture session with them. I've had that many, many times. And the reason for that is people trust me. I have been in the area of sex and sex education for over 30 years in this country. And I've never been involved in any controversy. Thank God for that.
Thank God.
Not one word.
Thank
right?
God.
Because I'm very straightforward and truthful. So when people come to me, they come to me with a level of trust because I have built my integrity over the years. So when you teach people the right thing, and when they start to think and say, you know what that man say makes sense, I may not like him, you know. Some people may not like me because I have a beard. Some people may not like me because of my race, because of my religion, but they like the information because it's the truth.
You see that way you just said there? That is so true. Sometimes they don't like you for simple things, but they like the vibes you bring. They like the
That's life.
They like the information you bring.
Life.
And that is all right, you know.
Of course.
Once they are being impacted upon in a positive way, that is all the teachers and the elders and the positive energies, that's all we need to be concerned with. We need not worry about the physical likeness and who like us, because it's about connecting with energies and connecting with compatible energies out there that we could pass the information. And
when I started,
go ahead. You go ahead, love.
When I started on radio, I threw out a challenge to my listeners. I say, if anyone can prove whatever I'm saying throughout my career is false, I come off the air immediately. I was on the air for 20 years.
Wow. 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 And you know, we live in a society where people love to challenge you. They love to challenge.
I love the challenge.
They love to challenge you.
Because I started off by saying I'm still learning. When I meet somebody, sometimes I'm introduced to someone, I say, he can't teach me nothing about sex, I know everything. I say, I'm about to you, because I'm still learning. If you know everything about you, you can be my guru, because I'm still learning.
Exactly. And, you know, this is life. Once you are humble enough to know that you are still learning, then the information, the universe makes the information readily available where you can learn and pass it on. You know, the wise man Solomon, I could quote that because most people will be familiar with Solomon, the wise man Solomon of the Bible. He never asked for riches, he asked for wisdom.
Correct.
They said wisdom is what he continually asked for. And because he asked for wisdom, he was given everything else.
Everything else.
Exactly. So once we are open and humble enough to avail ourselves to truth and to knowledge, and with patience we would learn, because everybody wants to do things quick, everybody wants it now. But you, as you said,
we live in an instant society.
What was that?
We live in a fast food society. We live in a fast food and instant society. Everything wants something. Like a guy, you know, some guys will come to me with premature ejaculation. They're premature ejaculator for 30 years of their life. So which means they're in the late 40s or 50s. And they want it cured in a day. I'm like, come on, man. It's impossible. It takes a process to get it through. The same way with the woman who has never had an orgasm. She wanted cured tomorrow because she's going on a hot date and she wants to have an orgasm with the guy. Can't happen. A point I wanted to make to you. Trinidad population is about 1.4 million.
Yes.
Correct? The adult population may be about 900,000. Right? You know Trinidad and Tobago has the highest percentage of male enhancement pills being sold anywhere in the world.
Serious? What?
Per capita, of course. Because everyone wants a quick fix. Everyone wants a quick fix. We are a society of quick fixers. We don't want to go through the process. We want to go to... I have seen guys go to the pharmacy. The pharmacist will tell me this. They're 18 years of age and they want something to make their penis harder. If you're 18 and your penis is not hard, something is wrong with you.
That's true.
You have a problem.
That's
right.
So
no pill is going to help you.
If at
because
18...
you made the point about guys who don't get hard enough. And that's why I wanted to bring that in, but I now remember.
No, it's true. I mean, but you shocked me with that piece of data there. You shocked me.
I'm telling you.
You said throughout the world, you know.
throughout the world. Remember, we were number one in porn at one time for 3 consecutive years?
Yes.
The number one country in porn. We only have 1.4 million people.
What do you think?
Places like China and India and Japan.
What do you think is responsible for that?
Because, again, we are a society that is bent on wanting everything instantaneously. So we look at porn. We at our job, but we're not studying to do our work that we are being paid for, but to go on a porn site. We have a lover, we have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but we want to see something else. We want to expand our mind in such a way. We want to know everything at one time. So we always looking for that easy avenue, but we look in the wrong places. It's like that controversy of looking for love in all the wrong places. That's what we do. We look for love and we look for things in all the wrong places. So we go to the pharmacy. Imagine this. You're a 25-year-old man. You have a lovely, beautiful, sexy young lady who is about 22, 23 years of age. And you want something to get an erection for her. Something has to be wrong with you. So when I tell guys that they just feel like I'm attacking them, I'm not. I'm telling you that there's something psychologically wrong with you. And it is proven by the fact that we are the largest consumer of porn. Something is wrong with our psyche.
But there are people who are highly sexed, you know. There are people who naturally, there are men who are highly sexed. Naturally, that is
women
how they...
too. Women too.
Well, yes.
There are women who enjoy sex more than men.
I just say, when I meet brothers who say, I really love sex, I say, you really love sex until you would meet a woman who like it more than you.
Correct. That's
right?
correct.
Because when you...
a man cannot fake an erection, you know. A woman can fake anything. You can't fake an erection. If you can't get it, you can't get it.
You make him laugh. Yeah. I find you ponging with women too much on this show, you know. I find you ponging me.
No. It's empowering women to say that, hey, you are the goddess. You are the goddess.
Tell them.
You are the carrier. You are the carrier of that essence of love, you know. You can procreate, you know. You create life, you know. And if we don't start looking at women this way and understanding the sacredness of the womb and the sacredness of the woman that carries the womb, we have a problem. That's why men will want to chop women and kill them and want to... I just say some men just want to own the vagina. You can't own the vagina. You can't.
I think not just, well, ultimately it's the vagina, but I like to say we cannot own anybody in relationships.
No, I'm being raw.
Yeah. That's what I say. Ultimately, that is what it is. That is what it is. You cannot own anybody. You cannot own anybody. You have to learn to share your energies and how we could help each other self-actualize in whatever area. But you know, that's a whole different subject, because to operate on that level where you accept you cannot own somebody, but you just enjoy their existence, that's a whole different mindset. And
well, let's put it this way. Sometimes you don't own yourself.
You don't own yourself. So, I mean, those
the
words...
spiritual part of you. If you start getting onto the spiritual part of you, you realize you don't own yourself.
Oh, so correct.
Because
And
you have
that
the
is...
soul and you have the body. The body is just a vessel. The soul is the true you.
That is what I was about to say. To speak those words, you have to be vibrating on a spiritual level. Even though we are in the physical system and we are enjoying our life here upon earth, you can only have that understanding when you really, you know, vibrating on a spiritual...
Elevate yourself. You have to elevate your inner self.
Exactly.
The only function of us as human beings here is to elevate our soul, you know. The things that we do is to elevate our soul to a better future. That's why we were given this body. This body is just a vessel.
Just a
that's
host.
All it is.
Just a host. Just a host.
Yes, that's all it is.
Exactly.
The soul is the essence of the human being. And if you don't massage the soul, if you don't enrich the soul, if you don't do things to make that soul blossom, you're going to have problems.
That's right.
You can never be happy.
That's right. So
money doesn't do it, you know.
No, it doesn't. And that is why, even getting back to the subject matter, when you understand yourself, as you said, Dr. Raj, when you massage your soul and do things that feed into your soul, everything you do, including sex, will be on a different level.
Correct. That's correct. So when you connect with someone, when you connect with that lover, when you connect with your wife, when you connect with your husband, it's a different connection.
And a lot of times, why there is no compatibility in relationships is when they talk about equally yoked, is when the souls and the spirit not compatible.
Of course.
That's what it is.
That's why in our belief, you have to first go to the pundit and make sure it aligns. You got to have the band.
Well,
that's what it is.
Exactly, and it's done like that in most ancient tradition. You talk about Hinduism, you go to the pundit. In the Ifa tradition, you go to the Babalawo as well. You do a consultation to find out if you all should proceed with marriage.
And everything is based on astrology.
Exactly, they guide you. But as we said, it's a fast-fixed world, and nobody want to do things the correct way anymore. We just want to, just do what satisfy, what should I say? I can't say the soul, just a physical satisfaction. But Dr. Raj, our time is up. And I know how to touch the tip of the iceberg with you because you have so much knowledge. You have so much knowledge. But I am so happy with your delivery because I told a friend, I said, I bring in Dr. Raj to talk about the divine essence of sex. And she was like, you feel you could talk on that subject matter? I said, girl, you mad or what? I say, in order to be a sexologist, he had to understand the spiritual essence of sex. Are you kidding?
Of course.
He must understand the spiritual essence of sex in order to...
Everything has a foundation. That's the foundation.
Exactly.
If you don't understand the foundation, how will you understand the other things? How would you understand that? Thanks for the opportunity, for giving me this opportunity for people to see that side of me, to understand. I've done it many times on radio, but maybe they didn't hear that episode. But thanks for the opportunity.
They probably thought I was just bringing it to talk about toys and all of that. They know where to find you if they want the toys. I tell them now, I'm bringing him to talk about a different side of him, which I know he can deliver. So I am very pleased with your delivery. And I could bring you back on the show again because you have plenty thing on what you talk about, So thanks again for joining me on the Feminine Drive. Thanks again. And keep Errol as a good friend. He's a good friend. All right, so thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
So much valuable knowledge that passed by there in an hour. I'm sure many of you would have had numerous questions, and we could bring back Dr. Raj. You could inbox me the questions, right? And we could bring back Dr. Raj. So thanks again. Share the live, share it. Share the live for those persons who may not have been able to join us this early, but share the live. There are numerous people who come and watch the show after. We want the information to get out there. So the Feminine Drive is about what? Real woman, real life, real talk. We talking about men too, and yeah, we touch a little bit about the men on the show, okay? But we probably would have a segment from Dr. Raj talking specifically to men. It may be pre-ejaculation or something like that, right? We could bring back Dr. Raj to talk about men and sex. Yeah, I like how that's sung, men and sex. So thanks again to all you lovely people, all my lovely viewers. I hope you're continuing to wash your hands, sanitize, and to wear your mask. Yeah? And for those of you who are taking the vaccine, we know things are being done now in an orderly fashion, right? And we go get over this. Yes, man, we will get over this. I want to start to bring back guests in the studio. There is nothing like vibes in with somebody face to face. It's different, yeah? So, we need to put all hands on deck. We need to follow the regulations, and we will get through this. So, again, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your Friday evening.
Now, wherever wherever you are or wherever you go, you can stay connected to the Catholic news available at groceries, pharmacies, retail shops,